For years, the Beckham family sold a flawless image, moving like a locked-in unit that couldn't be touched. But that shine has cracked wide open.
The best husband in the entire world.
She's the best, and I'm so happy.
And now the fallout is spilling into public view with zero filter and no fake smiles left. The tension sits right in the middle with Brooklyn Beckham, his wife Nicola Peltz, and her billionaire father Nelson Peltz, a man insiders say never believed Brooklyn fit anywhere near his daughter. What started as quiet side-eye and stiff vibes behind closed doors has grown into a full-blown family standoff that can't be brushed off anymore.
It definitely takes a toll on you mentally.
How do you guys manage tuning out the noise and just kind of staying true to who you are? Does it bother you ever?
It's not the best thing to see people writing, not the nicest of things, but, you know, we have each other, each other's back more than anything. So I think we've just both learned to don't listen.
We're talking legal letters flying, carefully worded public statements, and moves that scream strategy instead of love. There are long stretches of silence where warmth used to live, and the damage feels permanent now. Lines got crossed, relationships got stretched thin, and the pretending finally stopped. So the big question keeps coming up. Is Brooklyn really calling his own shots, or has he been pulled deep into the Peltz orbit with no way back? Because behind the emotional Instagram captions and perfectly staged photos, something way heavier is going on. There's a real power tug-of-war happening, and someone is clearly steering the wheel. The real turning point hit when Brooklyn publicly went at his own parents in a long, emotional social media post. He accused David and Victoria of controlling the narrative, putting the Beckham brand above real family, and repeatedly disrespecting his wife. He didn't soften a single word. He didn't leave himself room to walk anything back. Brooklyn made it loud and clear he was choosing Nicola, and fixing things with his parents wasn't even on the table anymore. What shocked people wasn't just that he spoke out, but how final it sounded. There was no hint of forgiveness, no olive branch, not even a suggestion things could cool down later. It read like a door closing for good. And according to people close to the Beckhams, that post didn't come out of thin air. Something serious reportedly went down behind the scenes just days before Brooklyn went public. David and Victoria had hit a breaking point and sent their son a private letter directly to him. No PR buffer, no friends relaying messages, no interviews sending coded signals, just parents trying to reach their son after normal communication completely collapsed.
All right, TMS first in the morning as always with entertainment, and we got to update you on what's going on with the Beckhams. Brooklyn Beckham has made some explosive posts about his family online. This following rumors of a rift between him and his parents, Victoria and David Beckham.
By that point, Brooklyn had allegedly sent a cease and desist notice telling his parents to stop speaking about him and route everything through lawyers. That move shook the whole family. But what cut the deepest was the belief that this wasn't just Brooklyn talking. Sources say the Beckhams felt the legal energy had Nicola's family fingerprints all over it, especially her father, a man known for keeping his circle tight, controlled, and locked down at all times. The letter David and Victoria sent back wasn't cold or hostile at all. Insiders say it was emotional, anxious, and painfully personal. No threats, no pressure tactics, no ultimatums, just two parents asking their son for one simple thing, proof that he was truly okay. But instead of easing the tension, that letter only pushed Brooklyn even further away. Just days later, Brooklyn dropped his public takedown. He said he was finally standing up for himself and pushed back hard on claims that Nicola was running his life. According to him, that idea was totally wrong. He claimed it was his parents who had controlled his choices for years, something he said he would never allow again. And that's where the public split right down the middle. Brooklyn insists he's finally living life on his own terms, but the moves he's made since distancing himself from the Beckhams tell a very different story. Every step raised fresh questions about who's really calling the shots now. His entire world has shifted into the Peltz lane, and he's fully locked into their rhythm. He moves inside their social circle, lives under their influence, and according to reports, barely speaks to his parents unless it's through intermediaries. That's why more and more people believe this is way bigger than a family argument. It looks and feels like a real power struggle. And the moment everyone keeps pointing to, the one that supposedly changed everything, was the wedding. More specifically, the now infamous first dance. Brooklyn has claimed his mother stepped into his first dance with Nicola, a moment he described as awkward and humiliating. He says Nicola ran out of the room in tears, completely shaken by what went down. Guests remember the moment differently, but one detail never changes in any version. That moment flipped the energy instantly. What was supposed to be a smooth celebration turned tense in seconds. A moment meant to unite two families instead carved a deep emotional wound that never healed. Even neutral observers admit that dance wasn't really about timing or tradition. It was about feelings, boundaries, and power. And for Nicola, that moment appears to have been the line in the sand. Reports say Nicola made her position crystal clear once the wedding ended. According to people close to the situation, Brooklyn was told he couldn't keep both his wife and his mother close. It became a choice, clean and direct, and Brooklyn chose Nicola. After that, the distance only widened. Invitations allegedly unanswered, family events were skipped, and communication slowly dried up. Insiders claim Nicola has stayed firm on refusing to attend any gathering where David or Victoria would be present. Whether people see that as protecting her peace or playing the long game depends on perspective, but the outcome stays the same. Brooklyn Beckham is now largely cut off from the family he grew up in. And while Nicola stands publicly beside him, the most powerful figure in this entire situation remains the one who keeps the lowest profile and barely speaks at all. Her father, Nelson Peltz, is a billionaire investor and serious corporate heavyweight who moves through life very differently. He operates with structure, quiet authority, and a level of control most people will never experience. According to multiple reports, Nelson was never fully impressed with Brooklyn, and that skepticism never really faded.
Sources say he viewed Brooklyn's career attempts, photography, cooking, lifestyle content, as scattered and unfocused, not matching the discipline and precision he values. There was no public shade, no loud confrontations, just a calm, steady doubt that spoke louder than words ever could. And when someone with that level of money and influence questions you, it carries real weight, especially when your entire life is now tied into their family system. That's why many people watching this situation say one detail stands out more than anything else. Before the wedding, Brooklyn signed a strict prenuptial agreement. If the marriage ever ended, he would have zero access to the Peltz family fortune. Under that agreement, Brooklyn walks away with only what the couple builds together. No inheritance, no extended family wealth, no safety net waiting in the background. And this raised serious concern among people close to him, not because of greed, but because of what it represents: dependency. If the marriage fell apart after Brooklyn distanced himself from his parents, he'd be left without a partner and without a support system. That reality, according to insiders, has weighed heavily on David and Victoria Beckham for years. The fear that their son placed his entire future in someone else's hands never really left them. And despite everything that's happened, people close to the Beckhams insist the door is still open. They say David and Victoria would welcome Brooklyn back instantly. No conditions, no press statements, no public pressure. But Brooklyn has made it clear he has no regrets. He believes he finally spoke his truth and feels justified in walking away. Meanwhile, his siblings continue building their lives, careers moving forward, relationships growing, and their parents supporting them the same way they always have. The family machine keeps rolling, but one piece is clearly missing: Brooklyn. And while he repeats that he's found freedom, people who knew him long before Nicola and long before fame turned life into a battlefield have started speaking up. What they're saying isn't flattering to anyone, and the voice that shocked people the most didn't come from Hollywood or fashion, it came from football. Brooklyn's former youth coach from this time at Queen's Park Rangers stepped forward. He shared sympathy, but not in the way anyone expected. He didn't take sides, he didn't defend David and Victoria, and he didn't hype Brooklyn's decisions either. Instead, he painted an uncomfortable picture. He spoke about a childhood shaped by anxiety, crushing expectations, and emotional distance most kids never face. He explained that Brooklyn had full-time security by age 14, proof that fame and money didn't equal safety or stability. Some moments, he said, felt deeply unsettling. He didn't point fingers directly, but the message was clear. Brooklyn didn't grow up in a normal world. And that lack of a stable foundation made him easier to sway, easier to influence, and more likely to believe cutting people off was the only way to protect himself. This is where the story turns darker. Once emotion is stripped away, one fact stands out clearly. Nicola didn't leave her world to join Brooklyn's. Brooklyn left his world to join hers. She stayed close to her parents, she kept her support system intact, she remained financially secure with or without the marriage. Brooklyn, on the other hand, stepped away from his parents, lost the structure he grew up with, and tied his emotional future to one household, the Peltz household. That imbalance is what has people worried, not because Nicola is painted as harmful, not because Brooklyn is seen as weak, but because isolation carries real power, and once it sets in, it's hard to see clearly. When one person or one family becomes your only emotional anchor, their influence naturally grows, even if they never openly try to control anything. And while this story keeps cycling through headlines, one thing has stayed exactly the same. Nelson Peltz has remained completely silent. No statements, no clarifications, no public backing of his son-in-law. And with someone like Nelson, silence is never accidental, it's strategic. People familiar with his world describe him as sharp, direct, and unimpressed by fame alone. Reports say he sees Brooklyn as unfocused, a young man still searching for his identity while carrying the weight of a famous last name. That perception may not be entirely fair, but when power and status are involved, perception carries real consequences. Insiders say Nelson's skepticism has quietly deepened as Brooklyn's feud with his parents escalated in elite circles. Cutting off your family doesn't read as confidence there. It reads as instability. It raises eyebrows. It creates discomfort. Another layer shaping this entire situation is Brooklyn's professional identity. Photography, cooking, lifestyle branding. Each new lane has drawn public criticism and reportedly private concern inside the Peltz circle. While David Beckham built his career on discipline and long-term focus, Brooklyn's path has been experimental and inconsistent, still searching for solid ground. That contrast matters. One family values legacy and endurance. The other prioritizes outcomes, leverage, and control.
When those values collide, tension isn't optional, it's guaranteed. Insiders claim Nelson Peltz has never fully believed Brooklyn brings enough to the table financially, strategically, or even symbolically. People close to David and Victoria say the change in Brooklyn didn't happen overnight. They describe it as gradual. Decisions he once made confidently slowly turned into decisions he deferred. Conversations that stayed private suddenly involved outside voices. Family discussions that were once emotional shifted into legal territory. They say their son didn't always speak the way he does now. He didn't always see them as obstacles. He didn't always frame himself as someone who had been controlled. Brooklyn rejects that version completely, but the timeline is hard to ignore. The deeper his relationship with Nicola grew, the more distance appeared between him and his parents. One of the most revealing parts of this feud isn't who's speaking, it's who isn't. Brooklyn's siblings remain close to David and Victoria. They post together, show public support, and build careers without cutting ties. That stability makes Brooklyn's separation feel even sharper, and it raises the question people keep whispering. What really changed? And why did it only change for him? That contrast has fueled speculation that Brooklyn's situation is specific, not a pattern across the Beckham children, and that leads to a tough question. If the Beckham household was truly as controlling as Brooklyn claims, why was he the only one who walked away completely and did it so publicly and so final? Brooklyn has been praised for standing up for himself, but insiders say the personal cost behind the scenes has been heavy. No casual check-ins from home, no simple family dinners, no emotional safety net waiting. Every interaction is now structured, formal, and layered with caution. And once a family hits that stage, rebuilding trust becomes a whole different battle. Most celebrity family blow-ups follow the same tired cycle. Something explodes, everyone goes quiet, and eventually there's a reunion photo that smooths it all over. But this situation doesn't play by those rules at all. The roots aren't just emotional, they're structural. This isn't one argument or one bad night. This is two powerful families, two completely different value systems, and one son stuck right in the middle. And the longer this distance drags on, the more permanent it starts to feel. And that's what makes the whole situation hit so heavy. This is about influence, power, pressure, and consequences that don't just disappear with time. And that leads to the biggest question people keep whispering behind the scenes. What happens if Brooklyn ever changes his mind? Walking away feels easy when you believe you're right. Coming back is where it gets complicated. It takes humility, honesty, and accountability on both sides. David and Victoria Beckham are reportedly still open to reconciliation, but insiders say that open door isn't shared by everyone surrounding Brooklyn. If he woke up tomorrow wanting to reconnect, the road wouldn't be smooth, and it definitely wouldn't be guaranteed. And that's where everything starts to feel tense. Would Nicholas support a reunion between Brooklyn and his parents? If Brooklyn ever tried to reverse course, would Nelson Peltz even allow that door to open again? Or has the line already been drawn with no way back? Right now, the Beckham family appears to be living in two completely different worlds. One moving forward together, connected, steady, and grounded. The other standing apart, distant, and locked into a totally different rhythm. Brooklyn keeps saying he has no regrets. David and Victoria say they'll keep the door open as long as it takes. And Nicola Peltz remains steady at the center of it all, present at every stage of this story. Whether she's protecting her marriage or quietly shaping how the situation is seen depends on who you ask. But one thing is clear. Brooklyn Beckham's life has shifted in a way that may not come with a clean or simple return. If you found this breakdown interesting, hit that like button. It really helps the channel and lets me know you want more deep dives like this.